Okay, we just finished doing that S&S one over there. Now we're going to do the Taiwan Teddy. So the S&S had a crank pins about 2.5 tenths out around, quarter of a thou. My experience is import parts are a lot better quality than S&S parts. The finish is usually a little rougher, but this one doesn't look that much different. But the sizing is the difference. So that one was 12 tenths under, which is way undersized. This one looks like it's about 8 tenths. It's 8 tenths under, so that means they're setting up for 8 tenths clearance. The crank pin's ground undersized on purpose to give you the number. So that's 9 tenths right there, so we have 1 tenth of taper in it. It's just big right here, these are small here. Turn it 9 degrees at least once, if not check more than that. That's 1 tenth down there, so it's 9. 9, yeah, so it's only the one spot's high, so this is basically 9 tenths clearance. Check it a few more spots just to make sure everything looks good. Yeah, so they got one spot there is high, everything else is on the money. 1 tenth or 9 tenths undersized, which gives a 9 tenths clearance if we had standard bearings, which probably don't. So way excuse me, way better quality than S&S. S&S sucks. So Taiwan Teddy is one up on that one. Okay, they got other issues though, but that's where that one is. Okay, so now we're gonna go and measure those bearings over there. So there we're using steel aluminum cages over there. So so these are the aluminum cages, which have 17 rollers, 3 short rollers. That's the same bearing kit I just put in the S&S over there. S&S uses these steel cage bearings, which are 16 roller instead of 17. So they have one less roller on them. So when you line them up like this, when you go around the back side, you see how they're not straight. Because it's a different count. And you can see they're a little bit coarser. These have longer rollers on this cage. The center cage has the same bearing. These outer cages have wider bearings on the S&S set. Those are the 87 and later bearing kits. These are the 73, 72, somewhere like that, through 86. This set here is the 51 through 72 set, 71 set, whatever year they changed to that one. Might be 74, might be 75, I forget. Somewhere in the 70s. So these cages, these are Dixie cages made out of brass. I don't trust them, that's why I don't use them. I bought them to put one on my bikes and I'll see if they're any good, but I haven't built one yet. So these cages have the longer rollers than what these ones are, but these have 18K bearings instead of 17. So you see how this one is finer than that one. And you can see the mismatch on the back side of that one, same deal. Now if you put that one over here to this one, you can really see the difference. It's way, way different looking. And then when you put these together for the long roller, this roller is way longer than these rollers over here. See how much longer they are? And it takes, and there's 2 more of them on these than that one, because that's a 16, this is an 18 roller setup. So if you're going to do a high performance race motor or high street or something you just want good, the best, you buy these from gyms. They're very expensive, but they make the good ones. And you run the 51-51 cage. And that might be the main number there. But anyway. Assuming gyms even makes them anymore, I don't know. But anyway, that's the best ones. Okay, so enough education. Now we're going to measure these rollers to see what diameter they are. Most of the time rollers run 2 tenths undersize. So, for whatever reason, I don't know why, can't seem to make things correct. I'm sure they got some excuse why they do that, but every now and then you run into a bag of them that's actually the correct size. Not very often though. So these are supposed to be 187.5, and this one is 187.3. If you look at the veneer scale, you can see it. These are actually pretty big. S&S was 2. These are a tight 3. They're like 3 1/4. See, they're just past the 3 mark. Pretty fat. So I'm going to measure the long one over here. That one's a fat 2, not a 3. Yeah, that ones are more like 2s. These are more normal sizing. So we can call those 2/10 undersize, even though they're more like 2.5. So that's going to screw up our number by 4/10. 2/10 per roller's off. Okay, the crank pin we were at 9, which has our clearance right where we want to be. So what all that means is, I did a bunch of calculations on the other job, confuse everybody. So the rollers, instead of being 187 5/10, they're 187 3/10, or 2/10. I use 3. That means you got 4/10 more clearance than what you need. The standard hole size for the rod is a 1 5/8. The crank pins are 1 1/4, which is 1 2/50. Okay, S&S was one that was 12/10 under. This one over here is 9/10 under, which gives you your 9/10 clearance built into the crank pin. So if your bearings were the correct size, your crank pin is ground under for clearance, you put the rod at this number right here, right on size, you're perfect. The problem is the rollers are undersized, so that means we can't put our number at this side. You need to add that 4/10 on the other side. So we need to be 3 to 4/10 above the 0 on my gauge over there. And then you'd be good. If it's not, we got to change those rollers. So let's go over and see what they got. And I don't remember how round these were, but I remember they were better than S&S. Okay, there's our gauge right there. So let's see if we can figure out how to make this work here. Nail that out. Hopefully I don't knock the camera over. Okay, that's why you can see the gauge. I can use 2 hands. It's more accurate if I use 2 hands than instead of 1. So basically you put the rod on here. It's a dial bore gauge. It goes in and out like that, and that needle changes right there. Good. It's 4/10 under. Right, we want to be to begin with, all right? And then it drops down to 2/10. It's 2/10 out around. Okay, this one here, 3. And there it is, 3, and it's pretty consistent at 3. Alright, so this one is a little bit out around from where I want to be, but pretty close. I'd probably give this a light hone, I could probably use it. Okay, this one here is about the same thing. It's balanced between 3 and 4 there. But that side is not. That side is low. Yep, we're 3/10 down now. So that kind of kills the trying to use those rollers. We're already pushing our clearance. We have an extra 1/10 in there. Now we just pushed it all the way. This one's all just above 0 on that side, and this side's this way. So even that thing's only about 3/4 inch wide, the thing's got 3/10 taper in it. Or 2/10 in there. How much was it up? Now it's up 4. That's 3/10 between the 2 sides. Because that's just above 0 there. It's 1. And it's worse than that because this is not flat. It actually measures in there about 1/8 of an inch. So technically, see that little mark right there? You got about 2/10 taper in between those 2 lines. That's a lot of taper. It's like, you know, it's like this. Not very good. So we're going to put new rollers on this one also. And then we'll hone it down. So if we go 4/10 bigger rollers, instead of being 4/10 down, we'll be right at 0 is what we're honing to. And as you can see, that one rod, it was at 0. It's 1 above 0 right now, so it's not going to leave a lot to hone out of that one. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to put new rollers in there and bring it to the size that we need to be. As usual, we get to put new rollers in. Okay, so What we got to do now is go over here to our roller selection, get some new rollers. Okay, these were our 4/10 bearings, which are actually 6/10. Well, they were 6, but they're actually 4. Because everything seems to be 2/10 under these days. So those are the short ones over here. Short ones are there. So these are marked 6, but they're actually 4. These ones are 4, they're actually less. This one here was another 6, which was that one. So you can't go by what these bags are marked. Okay, what did I do? I just mixed up something. I just mixed them. Okay, I'll have to remeasure these. I'm going to measure these and make sure I didn't screw this up. So, okay, we'll come back and do this. I'll measure these and make sure they are what they are. Okay, let's see, back to where I started. Okay, we're standard right now. We're going to go 2/10 over. That bag looks like it's open, so we're going to use that one. And that one appears to be sealed, so we're going to go with probably one of these here. Looks like our 4/10 is about empty. It's pretty hard to get rollers these days, not as bad as it used to be. Considering they want $100 bucks a bag these days, for some reason. How many bags are here? Yeah. That's why you don't buy them retail. Get them cheaper, they're only 50 bucks a bag. Still got a lot of bags here. Okay, so those should be the bearings I want to use. So what we're going to do is I'm going to measure them and make sure. And these are not measuring what I want to be. It's measuring standard, which is undersize. Yep. These are small. These are not 2/10 over bags. We don't like that bag. That bag sucks. That is why you always measure. And they're pretty nasty looking bearings too, which I don't want to use anyway. Okay, let's get these things out of here without blowing the bag apart in a million pieces. Would be nice. Alright, there, a couple of them came out. Now these are nice clean looking rollers. I like these. Those ones I'm going to have to clean them. Got a bunch of goo on them for some reason. Okay, this one looks like we're right in the middle where it belongs, which means we're on 5. In this case, we're on 4 1/4. Whoop, didn't need that one. See, that one's on 5 right there. So these are standard. They're marked too, but they're standard. Okay, so these are what we want. That bag is good. Those bags are junk. Here's some 2/10 short ones. Let's see if these are standard. And the bag is splitting just like the other ones did. Grab 2 or 3. These are clean looking, which is nice. You always want to make sure your rollers are clean with no marks on them. Any kind of mark on a roller, you throw it away. Or you save it for a junk motor you don't care about. Okay, this one appears to be right on 5 again, so that's good. So these are standard. This one here might be even a 6. It is a 6. This one's a little fat. Maybe I can hold a little extra on that rod, huh? And this one here is another fat one. Yeah, it's between 5 and 6. I'm going to clean these up and see if these are a little on the fat side. Okay, so these might be an extra tenth bigger, half a tenth or more bigger. Okay, those are trash. Those are good. Okay, I'm going to go and clean up some of these rollers and get some true, measure out a full set of them that are actually correct, and I'll be back.